All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Planning Commission meeting for June 9th. To start, if we can stand and say pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just to announce that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. To start, we're going to open the floor for public comment on anything that's not on the agenda. Anybody for public comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into the approval of the minutes for the May 12th, 2026 meeting. Any changes, comments?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple comments, please.
Yes.
Item number 3, approval of the minutes. I'd like to have my reasoning for voting no added, which I outlined at the end. And the second thing is number 5, the lot line change, the waivers for the sidewalk. I think it was that the waivers were requested. I think it should, that's what it should say. The waivers were for sidewalk requirements were requested. And I think that should be added. And also the 7 Brew Coffee application, I would like to have my reasoning for voting no included, namely the lack of bollards, interference with the LD traffic, and the safety of the staff going in and out between traffic on foot. That's why I voted no. I believe I outlined that in what I said. And for the historical ordinance, the term destroyed should be demolished, because I don't think the term destroyed was actually said. So that should be changed to demolished. And in item number 9, it should be stated that it was Stephen Lyons who made the comment with Forsyth Farm and what he actually said. So with those additions, I would vote for this.
Okay, the one thing I would suggest is any member who is voting no, if you want your comments as to why you're voting no, when you vote no, please express those comments. If those comments are done in our discussion, they're going to be up in the bits and pieces of some of the summary. So it may not necessarily capture what you are voting no and why you're voting no. So that I would just encourage you.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Otherwise, we're just going to record it as no.
Okay.
You don't have to give a reason. It's recommended and suggested that you do, but you don't have to.
Right.
So in those cases, when you voted no, you didn't give any reason. So it was just recorded as a no vote.
Okay, during the discussion,
You raised concerns during the discussion, yes, and that's fine to do. But if that's the reason you're voting no, when you vote no, say I'm voting no because of X, Y, Z.
right.
And then that will get recorded in the note, in the minutes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just going to be recorded as a no vote.
All right, but I would like to have my concerns for the record noted in the
Okay.
minutes.
Any other comments or changes? Any motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Can that be with the amendments?
With the amendments.
Yes.
Motion with the amendments?
Any opposed?
And then also, I can send to Alessandra.
I just want you to remember, I am not a court reporter. These are not, I am not a stenographer. I am not taking things down word for word, okay? And I can't do that because I cannot participate in the meeting and do
Okay.
that at the same time. I'm doing a general, this is what was discussed. I'm not saying Doug White said X, Corey said X. I'm not doing that, and I don't think
Well-
any secretary will do
Well,
that.
we have done that in the past.
We are not doing it now.
Yeah, that is not
Okay,
a.
all right, that's fine.
There is no stenographer,
That's
and I'm
fine.
doing a summary of the
Okay,
discussion.
okay, but I can-
will make the changes you're requesting,
Okay.
but I am not putting down
I
every
understand
single
that.
word you say.
Okay, I'm not here to argue, I'm just here to make a suggestion, that's all.
Okay, that's fine.
That's all.
That's
And I-
your
and I-
right, but
and
I want you to realize that I am not your stenographer, okay?
I'm not asking you to
taking
be.
down every single word you said.
Well, I would like the gist of what I said. A little more detail would be appreciated.
I
Thank you.
tried, but I cannot do that and pay
Okay.
attention and
Okay,
participate in
it's
the
all
meeting the
record-
way I am supposed to.
I have recordings, it's all recorded.
I'm not, I go to the YouTube when I have a question about somebody's name.
Okay,
I
I can-
don't, but again,
But I
it's
can
not
help.
word
I
for
can-
word recording because it is taken
Okay,
onto YouTube.
I'm willing to
And you
help.
personally have a recording as well, so.
Yes, and I can help and send you the details.
Right, and again, keep in mind, the intent of minutes is just to summarize what happened. It's not to go
Right.
detail.
But I would like to see
So-
the details for the record, please.
Well, if they
Well,
are
what-
not
I guess
there,
what-
you can't
what-
every single meeting
What we're
nitpick that they're not
saying
there.
is the details that you want are not gonna be there. So,
They will be
it's
in the
gonna be a
recording.
summary.
But this is our official record, and especially when a member of the public makes a comment, his or her name and address, if they're allowed. should
I
be
take
recorded.
down as much information as I can get, and if you would like to go back in time and look at the minutes that we've had in the past, none of them have been any more detailed than what I am doing.
Well, I would disagree, but okay.
Okay.
I
That's
think
fine.
she's correct that
Yeah, I
they've always
think you
been
can
that
go
way.
and take a look and see that.
Wow.
Doug, your point might be more well made if there was no record of these meetings, but we have a record of these meetings.
And this is not-
Excuse me, I don't
This
need,
is not a court proceeding.
I
You're not
understand that.
saying-
This is, with all due respect, this is my opinion, and this is my thoughts. And I know about meeting
I'm just
minutes.
saying to you, we have a record.
This
If
is,
you want a verbatim,
it's
what
not,
happened in these meetings, it's on YouTube.
But I guess, Doug,
Okay,
here's,
that's all.
here's my concern.
I made my request and that's all.
Yes, and we heard your request, but my concern is, this has been multiple meetings that you continue to request this, we'll continue to have the same discussion. Unless everyone in this panel wants to make a recommendation that we get into detail, how it's happening is how it's supposed to happen with summarizing of what's happening, period. I understand you want more details of what you're saying and how you're saying, and I understand you want to go back in time to add things when it hasn't happened, but that's not the intent of this, and
Well, it
that's
did
going to bog us
happen.
down.
It did happen.
What I'm referring to is when you voted no, you did not give reasons. To go back and correct it is changing what's actually happened during the
Okay,
meeting.
well, at that point.
So those are my
I
concerns.
take that point.
And again, the rest of it is summarization of what's happening
Right.
in that case.
But I would still like my
I mean-
concerns addressed for the record.
I understand, and we heard all your concerns.
Maybe there's just a brief sentence at the end of every meeting template that says, for additional details, please see the video recording. That's it. Then, then we keep it as a summary form of the minutes. That too is an official recording of the meeting. So just refer them to that. If they want to go through it, they can.
We can do that. I don't know that that's it. Okay. All right. All right, any other discussion on minutes? I think we voted it. All approved? Was there any no's? One abstention. One abstention. All right, the next item is initial Sawville application submission, preliminary land development for 892 Fernhill Road. Application is proposing to construct a 3375 square foot building addition to the existing warehouse, a 7560 square foot paved area for additional parking, outside storage with a canopy, and 2 14 by 60 foot loading spaces. And
Good evening.
everybody.
Justin Brewer with Howell Engineering. I do have the applicant, Tom Gaggis, here if there's any questions specific for him, but I'll try and give you the introduction.
Justin, just let me know when you want me to change sheets.
I was going to ask, can you just go to the, yeah, that's probably a good one. So the property is located at 892 Fernhill Road. Existing building currently standing on the property with some parking along the south side. What we're proposing to do is, as we mentioned, a 3,375 square foot building addition, warehouse addition on the back of the building. Some associated parking, paving improvements located on the west side of the building. Some additional storage area to the north side of the building. Stormwater management, what we've looked at and what we've submitted for review for your township consultant. There's currently a stormwater basin in the west end of the property. Well, based on our as-built topography, that basin is not the size of what it was supposed to be back when it was originally built. So what we propose, and of course we'll work through any review comments with your consultant, is to provide that volume that was originally anticipated in that basin. I'm guessing after being there for 30 years, it's sediment in. For our stormwater management, for the improvements we're proposing, we've done some, try not to block your camera here, we did some infiltration testing in the rear of the property and actually in the existing basin to see if we could just get everything in there that we needed to. Unfortunately, this site does not have any good perk rates to provide the infiltration. So what we're proposing to do is, which isn't accepted anymore with the Pennsylvania DEP, is what's called a managed release concept. I know I've been in here with another project, the Pharma block, that we proposed something similar due to similar site conditions. What that is essentially a slow release of that stormwater runoff to provide some water quality and also the peak rate reduction. Proposing to discharge it to that existing basin that we're cleaning up for some additional detention and management of the peak rates. That's a general overview of the property and what we're proposing to do with the expansion of the warehouse area. Based on your zoning ordinance, we do need, I believe it was 5 additional parking spaces. We're proposing, let me just double check myself, 6 additional parking spaces. So we're proposing to provide those. One of those we are proposing as an EV charging station. Truck turning, I know that's typically a concern. And Tom can chime in if needed, but the granite slabs typically, they're not coming in on a big giant tractor trailer. They're coming in on a smaller open body trailer that they use forklifts to grab them off of. To accommodate that truck, because this site currently is pretty tight to begin with, we've run some truck turning, and to accommodate the truck that typically delivers to them, we do have a little tail we've added to the parking lot driveway so that it can pull in there and then back in towards where the warehouse is. So that's one of the other points I wanted to make. I don't know if there was any specific questions related to the project at this point. Happy to answer as much as I can.
Are you encroaching on anything that requires waivers or anything like that for this?
We would need the waiver for the stormwater management methodology that we're using because your ordinance requires that infiltration. And that was the process we went through with, like I mentioned, the Pharma block. And we would be looking to do a preliminary final application given the size of the project. Giant warehouse or anything like that. So,
Okay.
And the DEP allow that?
DEP does allow the managed release concept. It's something that they've come up with through years of research with Villanova, and so it's their accepted practice now for locations where you don't get infiltration or you have another limiting zone such as a high water table or karst geology.
Other questions?
Yes. My question is Good. So this is self-storage now, right?
It's a warehouse for their material.
Just the marble slabs, right? Oh, okay, okay. I guess what is locations on Old Farnham Road?
We're right next to,
This location is right next to Eldridge.
Eldridge.
Oh, right next to Eldridge.
Just across for, what is that tool? I know it's exact tool. I see it every day. I can't remember the name.
But it's just north, yes.
So one of the things that I ask every time is about sidewalks. And as part of the comprehensive plan, that stretch of road should have sidewalks. Okay? So what do you do for that?
We haven't given any consideration to that yet. I mean, that's something that we can talk with Tom. I think it's not a lot of frontage.
Okay.
I don't see that as an issue. The yard's pretty big.
Okay, good, thank you. 'Cause
We'll
we're-
save you some grass cutting.
Best movie in lawn service.
You're mentioning that the stone's going to be coming on a smaller truck, not like 18-wheel or something like that.
Correct.
How would that relate with the fire truck would have to get back in the back area? Would it still be able to get back?
So a fire truck can get back there, it's not gonna have room to turn around.
Right.
It would have to back out onto Fern Hill Road, but between there's fire, there's whatever, help with traffic control. But it can be back in.
The stormwater management, is it addressing the additional square footage, or is it just to fix it per the current square footage?
So, it's a good question. So the existing basin and the cleanup of that and the
Is it-
recontouring of that is to reestablish what it was designed for, and that's managing the existing building and existing impervious. Our additional impervious, the managed release concept bed that I'm speaking of that's underneath the parking, discharging to that basin, is designed to manage the increase in stormwater runoff from the proposed improvements.
Okay.
Justin, I would just recommend, going back to Kevin's question about fire truck, I would just recommend speaking with our fire marshal, our deputy fire marshal, correct me, John, that's what about that. John will do a review, John and the deputy fire marshal will do a review of that as further. So I would just talk to him.
Any other questions?
There's no residential behind it, is there? Or empty ground?
Behind there is, there's newer, less than 15-year warehouse, the warehouses for the complex.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but it's all like.
Just the flag
They
space.
just, it's all about lighting and.
It's the flag space.
Is it-
spaces,
it's-
yeah.
Okay.
One second, I'm gonna bring up Jessica Hughes real fast.
Do you currently have lighting in your parking lot? All that
Excuse
stuff?
me?
Your parking lot is currently lit and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you just covering like the building you're building, is it already parking lot right now?
Yes.
You just, okay.
Back there was our loading dock, but you can't, really bring like a big truck back there to the loading spot. So instead of having materials sitting out, because now they're even more premium than ever before. Leave them outside and take them in right away, we ran out of space.
Don't let the rock be wet.
Sorry, Tom. It's crazy, it's got.
It's more secure.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can steal it, God bless you. Yeah. 1,500 pounds each.
So,
Will your new building have parking on the perimeter?
So the parking's all gonna be on the south side of the building. So it's just where we put that extension out off to the west, we added the parking spaces, kind of continuing the parking spaces that are currently there.
so just to go back to the question regarding residential, so the blue dot here, that's the subject property. That's the subject property, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's the subject property. So it doesn't really apply to any residential. The closest residential is, I forget which apartment complex this
Halsted,
is.
it's Halsted.
This apartment complex on Goshen Road, there is this right of way that separates it, and it's also separated by the adjacent industrial property, and there's a grass area and some vegetation.
So since this counts as a land development, are you going to be asking for a waiver for the sidewalk requirement?
That's what we were talking about, that we would discuss whether, I think it's kind of leaning towards doing
don't
the
have an
sidewalk
issue.
and not, so not doing the request waiver.
Does any property there already have a sidewalk, or is that going to be a new sidewalk that somebody else can
I don't
connect to?
think so, and I don't want to say anything wrong, but
I think
Correct. I mean, just in looking at it from Google Maps, there doesn't appear to be any other sidewalk connections along Fernhill Road. So this would be, for lack of a better term, an orphan sidewalk. But
It would make sense if we all, you know,
It is part of the comprehensive plan, that there was.
Right, no, I understand the comprehensive plan, I'm just wondering if that's the type of roadway we want a sidewalk on, because what do you, like, that's a lot of moving behind, you know, it goes into that one, what is that, Turner, and then it spins around to Fernhill, and we got the traffic light and the hospital.
I mean, eventually, you're going to have a property that's going to be developed on Goshen and Fernhill, okay? And there's already some crosswalks at that traffic light. So, I mean, maybe not in my lifetime, but I can see the sidewalks along that area. That would get to the baseball field, maybe to the other residential.
I can see it when you get onto Turner, there's more, like the school is there, I just don't know. To me, that area, I don't know if I want people walking on it and being invited by a sidewalk.
It's ultimately the policy determination, like the applicant indicated that it wouldn't be an issue. I would, let their design professionals
Right.
sort of look at it. And if ultimately, because I do recall there was an application prior to the ordinance amendment in this general area where there was some discussion about installing sidewalk, and I believe the ultimate determination was that there wasn't enough right of way, the grades weren't sufficient to it. So I would let the applicant kind of do their due diligence, the planning commission's heard that they're not opposed to it, and then proper determination can be made from there.
So could he ask for a waiver? Not to
He
put it in?
could in the future. The applicant could ask for a waiver in the future. They don't have to present that immediately.
Okay.
So, and as far as I know from the application, it was just the prelim final waiver request and the stormwater management waiver request.
That's what we identified.
Do you get a lot of flooding back there?
I've never seen water back.
Okay, so you're just making it like.
So I would go back there,
up
I'm
to
like, this
plan.
thing's not working, but then Justin's
Okay.
like, no, it is working, because you don't see the water. So
Well, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can you just tell me your last name?
GAK is G-A-K-I-S.
Yes, thank you.
Any public comment? Okay. This is just initial, so thanks for coming out.
I asked Carroll Engineering yesterday to start the review process, because they were waiting for
Okay.
this meeting, but I didn't foresee any major issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. Passing everything else has nothing to say. We're going to move to 8, which is alternate planning commission member applicant. We have Todd Lorbeck.
I don't have a problem.
Has expressed interest in becoming an alternate.
But if you're next door, you can't do it. You know what I mean?
Are there questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm reading this, it says, I discussed the various needs of the commission involved in the township matters. You're interested, what are our needs?
That was for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please give me the question again, because I didn't put it here.
It says, I discussed the various needs of the commission involved in the township matters and indicated interest in the planning commission.
Yes. That's true.
What's our needs?
Oh,
I think he's referring to the need of being of us adding another
Yes.
alternate.
Well, I also think it could be interpreted as the needs of the volunteer boards and commissions, because we do have a few other vacancies that exist.
yeah, John had described some other of the commissions, and I had selected this one.
Did you always have an interest in the planning commission, or is this your first, did you just kind of
Yeah.
stumble into this, or?
I don't know if stumble's the right word. I've lived here for a long time, and so I feel I have a stake as well in the future and present future. Whatever I can help to, since I know the township pretty well.
Were
Make a contribution.
Were you asked by Mr. Hellman were you asked by Mr. Hellman to do this? or?
No, I had indicated to him that if I could serve on a commission and that would help, that
Okay.
I'd be willing to do so.
Okay.
Tom and his wife are very active in the community. So if you've ever been voting or anything, you're going to meet his wife, especially if you're voting, I know from our district, but I know they've always been active. He's been active since he was a youth growing up and involved in a lot of different activities in the community and has been a lifelong member. So,
I've kind of progressively moved north. I was
yes,
south of the
yes.
college. I lived in the borough for a while, and now I'm north of the borough.
Exactly.
Part of the township that abuts East Bradford.
Other questions?
So you were a history teacher?
Yeah, social studies teacher. Most of my career I taught government right down the road here.
East High School?
That's correct.
With Mr. Farrell?
Indeed, he was a more recent arrival
Yes.
over the span of my career, but he and I are pretty good friends. I just saw him the other day. Indeed.
I am Mr. Farrell's superior.
Okay. He's a good guy.
Any other?
Are there other applicants?
So we did receive one other application that Ms. Martin reminded me of back in March that I missed. Planning Commission could make a recommendation tonight. I could reach back out to that individual. However, we do have other vacancies on our other boards and commissions. So as we were talking, what I was thinking was I would reach out to that individual about the alternate member position on our zoning hearing board, where we still have 2 vacancies set. So I think.
No, I'm happy to make a motion that we make a recommendation to the supervisors to accept Todd as an alternate.
Mr. Chair, I have one more question. What do you see as the vision for our township, or what would you like to see happening with the Planning Commission or with the township in general, from your perspective?
Well, I guess, my main concern would just be how the township's managing the growth, since there's been so much growth in the area for these last couple of decades. And, conscious of facilitating business and commerce, but also, trying to deal with issues of congestion, traffic issues.
Is that your main focus, traffic, or do you have other focuses?
Well, I don't really come with a particular focus or agenda. I have a lot of learning to do.
That's okay, you can. I have an agenda. Storefront safety, that's my agenda. But that's okay, I'm just interested in what you're all about and why you like to do this.
Well, as I said, I have a lot to learn first about issues of zoning, planning, engineering, environmental impact concerns, and things like that. So, but, to answer your question, it would be to try to maintain the quality of the township relative to its growth, and knowing as I do that we're not going to really be able to widen roads very much, anymore, even though we're part of the country, just how we manage growth and development. And having been a teacher, the impacts on decisions the township might make relative to the schools. So really just a wide range of things that, without any particular concern or focus.
Well, are you for the growth or opposed to the growth?
Well, I don't look at it as necessarily an either or, but I would like to see what, kind of natural or parcels that we have left, perhaps not get developed with more McMansions, but I also am realistic about growth and change. You can't preserve everything, so we have to have a balance between business concerns, but also preservation and natural land.
Okay.
Okay, seconded. Any public comment? Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none? All right. So we'll make the recommendation to supervisors and vote on there. But thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
All right, moving to open floor. First off, any open floor? Any comment? Not hearing none. One thing I would add to everything is next meeting, we're going to be asked by the supervisors to make a recommendation on the zoning ordinance changes. I'm hoping everyone received their emails. Please look through that. If there's changes or questions you have, mostly questions, please send those to Chris so we can get those to Gilmore Associates.
Price
So
still
that
the
they have.
same?
I'm sorry?
Is their bid price still the same?
No, why not?
The board approved the.
Board approved
subdivision.
a change in that because of some of the stuff we added to them. But at this stage, what it is us reviewing, making it anything that we have questions on, so Gilmore at the next meeting can help facilitate answering those, because they are going to be looking for us to make some type of recommendation to the supervisors at that next meeting.
May you please, or may the township please provide printed copy of the new ordinance?
Whatever, but does everyone want to print out, or you can just, you
No,
can email
okay.
me if you want to print out,
Yeah.
and I'll print it out for you, it's not a problem.
Thanks.
And then again, keep in mind, when you do email the questions, only email them to Chris. Don't copy other members on the commission, otherwise it's a public warrant that needs to happen. Okay. Other comments? Information?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I brought up at the Township Board of Supervisors meeting the need to have the township engineer here at every meeting. And I just would like to know how the rest of the board feels about that, whether or not the township decides to hire a new engineer, or we have Chris Peterson from Carroll Engineering here all the time in the same role that Rick and Brian had. Chris Peterson is very familiar with the township. He's been doing our consulting work for about 15 years. So I'd like to just know how the rest of the...
Well, the way I feel, again, speaking for myself, if there's a project like Wawa coming before us, yes, by all means, I think we can make the recommendation to the supervisors to have him here. If it's things like today, last week, or last meeting, no, I don't see a need for that. I mean, for the most part, well, for everything, he submits a letter with everything he recommends. We can read that and see if there's things there. But I think 9 out of 10 times from what we see here, we don't need him here, and we don't need to have that extra cost, time, and everything else. But by all means, if there are circumstances where we have a bigger project before us, yeah, I don't see an issue in us suggesting or asking for him to be present.
I agree. It should only be on the technical aspects. We shouldn't subject the township to spending more money than we need to.
And the agreement I have with Chris is if I ask him to be here, he'll be here for any kind of complicated or involved project.
And
Yeah,
another,
I think that's fair and reasonable.
right, but another, I would respectfully disagree, because we've always had a township engineer since the 80s. Always, and they
But
were...
times change.
Well, not that much. There's actually a greater need for a township engineer, especially with redevelopment. The township engineer was a great resource. They help run the meetings, actually. They point out the details on the blueprints, which we don't always understand. I would be more comfortable being on the planning commission
Okay.
if the engineer was here all the time, despite the cost.
All right, well, how's everyone else weighing in on this?
He's a great resource.
Okay, I've heard you.
Okay.
Let's give everyone else a chance to voice their...
I agree with you, Corey.
Okay.
I agree as well. I also, an engineer isn't always going to be the explanation for us not understanding the plans. Like an engineer can only explain to a point of your understanding of plans.
I'm sorry?
Like a township engineer and the engineer coming in is an expert, but again, the architect that's sitting in front of you is the person who has the responsibility to explain to us what's happening. We're the engineer that they bring. It's not our engineer. Our engineer is here to review it, look at it,
And to
check
also-
the box.
And to represent the township and to know.
Right, that's
the
what,
plans
that's-
compared-
that's where they make sure it meets codes and all that
Right.
stuff, and that's the report they provide us. Every
I
project
just,
has. a
my
report.
point is the responsibility of explaining to us if we don't understand something should not be on the township engineer. They should be doing a thorough review, independent of us, and recommending to us. It should be the responsibility of the engineer or the architect or the client coming in to explain to us.
But that's,
For the application to
For
the
the,
ordinance.
yes,
But
because
that's-
that's their burden, not,
well, I guess-
if I'm speaking, Chris, is that,
That's correct.
that's correct, like, it's not our township engineer.
is representing us, is on our side.
Okay.
There could be
Hold on,
some-
let's-
I don't know
let's-
that there's a side,
Yeah,
because
there
these
could be.
people are also residents too.
They're business owners, and they're trying to basically sell us their plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to hear their viewpoint. When we have a township engineer, whether it's Chris Peterson or a direct hire that is a township staff, they're going to represent us.
Well, I disagree because Chris is not a township engineer, he is a consultant.
Right, that's who we
He's
have.
the
now.
appointed township
Okay.
engineer as a consultant,
That's-
which is standard,
Yeah.
procedure. Prior to Brian's departure, we were one of only 3 municipalities in Chester County that had an in-house engineer.
Okay.
Carry over, John?
Well, I've been reviewing plans for 40 years. A lot of people don't understand blueprints. A lot of people do not understand. And I've had questions in the past where Popeye's chicken, where's the fence? You had the architect, the engineer sitting here. They had no idea where they were in the prints. And I told them where they were. And they, oh. But a lot of people don't understand what they're looking at. Even when you put it up here, when you put it on the computer, I go, I'm not interested in that. I want to see them. I want to see sheets. You know, where you can see plus, minus. People can make mistakes. Architects, engineers can make mistakes.
Questions.
Do you feel that the
Their
report,
township engineer available?
Yeah,
If
do you-
questions that come up.
do you feel the
It doesn't
report-
mean they have to be there for meeting.
the report that they attached to the project is sufficient in answering all those questions for you?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah, because I've seen, $98,000 mistakes on blueprints, where the architect didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But did you like having Brian here? You were-
He was very informative, he gave me a lot of information.
I think having Chris here is good because my questions are usually rooted in, is this allowed, how are they allowed, what is,
This Chris.
Yeah, this Chris. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, this Chris. More of my questions are related to that because I always see the reports. And again, I agree, I don't agree that they're selling, I will take a point with that, the way, the semantics of that. They're also township, they either have a business here, the residents here, so they have to be represented too. I think it has to be a
Right.
more objective view, not subjective to sides. I don't think we shouldn't have sides.
Okay, so pretty much what I'm hearing is that we're all on board, well, mostly on board, most of us are on board with just as a needed basis, but not asking them to be here on a regular basis.
Okay.
And as needed being if there's a major project that we know is going to be more intensive than our typical submissions.
Well, question for Mr. Hellman. Is there a plan from the Board of Supervisors' point of view to eventually hire a new township engineer? Or it's hard
That's
for
a
you to...
possibility, but right now, we don't have active search going on. An engineer, Carroll Engineering has been providing us that service that we have traditionally gotten from an in-house engineer. So it's been working out okay.
So
And what we're currently doing is a cost savings to the township.
Well, that ends up being that,
Yeah.
but at the
Considerable
same...
cost savings.
But at the same time, is there still Or are you allowed to say at this time, if the supervisors are mulling over the idea of hiring?
It's always a possibility, but right now, we don't have an active search for an engineer for the township.
Okay.
Okay.
And at this time, I would not recommend hiring an in-house engineer to the board.
I would agree.
So as long as we can get the reports from the engineer that review the plans, and we can review it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's typically with the submission that you send us.
Right.
It's attached in there.
Right.
If there's complicated engineering questions, we have a township engineer we can ask to come in.
Yeah.
So that's why it should be as needed as opposed to regular.
Okay.
Again, I think Chris's expertise and experience has provided for that as he's sitting here. No, if he's not going to be here, I think somebody needs to be here. I'm sure there always will be a replacement or substitute or sit-in for Chris, and he may not have everything, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, you seem very well versed on all these projects and having met with people. I'm sure there's meetings before it even gets here to understand if there are going to be technical issues.
The backup, if I can't be here, is Sheldon.
Well, Chris, would having a township engineer make your life easier?
No.
All right.
Well, you're fine.
Any other comments? Any other topics?
Oh, I do. Just, you all heard that my main, well, one of my interests is storefront safety in DeSalvo. And I just would like the planning commission to have that in the back of their mind, strengthening our storefront safety, having standards for the bollards and actually requiring more storefront safety.
Okay.
For commercial.
Okay. Any other?
Yes, well, I'm sorry, I keep coming back. Sorry about that. Strengthening the tree replacement standards, part of our comp plan. Does the planning commission have any thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, all that stuff is going to be in our zoning ordinance, or is it?
Well,
Tree replacement is in soil and erosion.
There was landscaping, proposed landscaping ordinance that the SAC put together that was presented back in like December, I want to say, maybe November. And it's my understanding the decision at that time was to kind of hold off and like finish the zoning ordinance.
And then,
So since the zoning ordinance is kind of coming up to completion, we should probably revisit that ordinance to get those provisions in our subdivision ordinance. Because those are being, remember when we were working through the land planning committee, it was recommended to get like the design standards that we had for like landscaping out of the zoning ordinance and into the subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
So we should revisit that probably maybe August meeting based on the timeline that I have.
so the soil and erosion code is going to be put into DeSalvo then?
Well, the landscaping and tree replacement requirements will be put in the saldo.
Okay, so right now, tree replacement is in soil and erosion.
Well, I believe landscaping requirements are in zoning.
Landscape requirements are typically in zoning.
Hold on a second. Doug, I can look up an ordinance, Doug. So the soil and erosion references forest management plans. The landscaping requirements are in the zoning ordinance. That's where you get your buffering requirements. That's where you get your visibility standards and things of that nature. So those are in your zoning ordinance currently.
Which includes tree replacement standard.
Yes. And there is some, because the subdivision ordinance currently refers you back to section 8455 of the zoning ordinance as it stands right now.
So Judy Goldstein took out that aspect of the zoning and put it, and we're having it either standalone or in the DeSalvo then?
The ordinance that was presented, that was worked on by the SAC, was to remove those provisions out of the zoning ordinance and into the subdivision and land development ordinance as a design standard. And at the time, I wasn't here, and Brian was handling it. It's my understanding that the decision was made to not ordinance until the zoning ordinance was completed.
Yes.
And so now that the zoning ordinance is nearing completion, you should probably pick up that process probably in like August, based on.
Okay, okay, so as part of the comp plan, strengthening the tree replacement stand, in other words, having them put back more trees rather than, as opposed to the 2 to 1, or the 1 to 2, as standard that exists. That's all.
Because right now in your subdivision ordinance, it's pretty sparse, and it references, it just refers you back to the provisions in the zoning ordinance, section 8455A.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's it.
All right, any motion to adjourn? All right, second? All right, we're adjourned.
Can I ask a question now, it's adjourned? Has anybody heard about,
Do you mind being on live stream?
what's that?
Do you mind being on live stream?
Well, I don't care.
Okay.
About Airport Road, we're also gonna remove the reservoir there.
The last I heard was they were